3 roads, built where no road has the right to exist. The mountain said no. 13 farmers with hammers said otherwise. 200 people died on one road every single year. Not in a war, not in a disaster, on the way to market, on the way home. And every morning, the next 200 got in their vehicles and drove it anyway. One road took 24 years to build. 810 men did not live to see it finished. We do not build roads because it is easy. We build roads because something on the other side is worth dying for. In Henan Province, China, there is a village called Guoliang. It sits at 5,000 feet on a limestone cliff face, sealed from the world below. For centuries, the only way in was 700 steps, carved by hand into the rock. 700 steps. No cart, no road, no machine. If you needed medicine, you climbed. If a woman was in labor and complications arose, you climbed. If someone was dying, you climbed. The mountain does not negotiate. The mountain does not compromise. The mountain simply is. In 1972, the village elder Shen Mingxin gathered 13 men. No government had offered help. No engineer had surveyed the cliff. No machine was coming. To raise the money for tools and dynamite, the villagers sold their livestock, their goats, their animals, everything they had. They bet the survival of their community on the belief that they could go through a mountain. He said, "We will open this mountain ourselves." For 5 years, 13 men worked inside the rock, by hand. Hammer, chisel, darkness. 6 meters of solid limestone. 1,150 meters long, 5 meters high, 4 feet wide. They worked without electricity. They worked without pay. They worked without the certainty that the rock would not close in and seal them inside forever. As they carved deeper into the mountain, they cut windows into the cliff face, not for beauty, for light. Because without light, they could not see to work. 30 windows, 30 openings punched through solid rock by hand. They did not know it then, but those 30 windows would one day become the most photographed feature of any road on Earth. 3 things sustained them: the cold of the stone beneath their hands, the weight of the mountain above their heads, and the knowledge that on the other side, their children would not have to climb. When the Guoliang tunnel opened in 1977, no government official attended. No newspaper reported it. No camera was there to record the moment. 30 villagers stood at the entrance. They walked through. And on the other side, for the first time in 500 years of recorded history, a vehicle passed through the mountain. Today, The Guoliang Tunnel is called one of the most beautiful roads in the world. Those 30 windows the men carved for light now flood the tunnel in shafts of gold. Travelers come from across the planet to walk through it. They do not come for the engineering. They come because they feel something standing inside that mountain that they cannot name. Guoliang does not teach us about roads. It teaches us about the particular madness of people who refuse to accept the world they were given. 3 certainties remain. The mountain did not move. The world did not help. And the men did not stop. In 1995, the Inter-American Development Bank named a road in Bolivia the most dangerous road on Earth. It is called the North Yungas Road. The locals call it El Camino de la Muerte, the Death Road. Not metaphorically, not poetically. At its deadliest, 200 to 300 people fell from this road every single year, into the cloud forest below, 2,000 feet. But this road did not begin as a route to market. It was built in the 1930s by Paraguayan prisoners of war, men captured in the Chaco War, forced to carve this road into a cliff face in a country that was not their own, at gunpoint, with their hands. They had no choice. They had no home to return to. They had nothing but the mountain and the order to cut into it. That is the first ghost on this road. The road begins at 15,000 feet in the Andes, in the cold, in the fog, in the thin air where the lungs protest and the mind slows. It descends 40 kilometers to 1,100 feet. The road is 3 meters wide. There are no barriers. The mountain does not warn you here. The road does not widen. The edge is always there. 3 feet to your left, 2,000 feet down. Every morning, miners drove this road to the mines. Every morning, market traders loaded their vehicles and drove this road to La Paz. Every morning, school children rode buses along this road to school, because it was the only road. Along the edge of the death road, there are crosses, hundreds of them. White crosses nailed to the rock face. One for every vehicle that went over. One for every family that received a knock at the door instead of a footstep. In the wet season, when the waterfalls pour directly onto the road and the tarmac turns to mud, drivers pass those crosses at walking speed, knowing. On market days, when 2 vehicles met on that 3-meter track, one had to reverse, sometimes for kilometers, to find a passing point wide enough. This could take hours. A market run that should take 40 minutes became a 5-hour negotiation with the edge. A vehicle moves through cloud on the death road. The valley below is invisible. A waterfall crosses the road in silence. Then the cloud parts, just for a moment, and the drop reveals itself. 2,000 feet of nothing. A single white cross in the foreground. In 2006, a new road opened. Safe, wide, modern. The death toll on the North Yungas Road collapsed. And within years, tourists began arriving. They paid money, strapped on helmets, hired mountain bikes, and cycled down the death road for the thrill of it. The same road built by prisoners who had no choice is now a bucket list experience. The death road does not teach us about danger. It teaches us about the cost of geography, when geography does not care about you. When the mountain places the only road above the void, people walk it anyway. Not because they are brave, because they are alive. And being alive means moving forward, even when forward is 3 meters of mud above a 2,000-foot fall. There is a road at the top of the world, 15,397 feet above sea level, the highest paved international road on Earth. It is called the Karakoram Highway, and it cost 810 human lives to build. Say that number slowly. 810. One life per kilometre. But before the first modern engineer ever set foot on this ground, merchants walked it. 2,000 years ago, on the same path that would become the Karakoram Highway, traders moved silk, spices, and jade along the ancient Silk Road. They walked with camels through the same passes. They slept beneath the same peaks. They died on the same slopes. The highway did not open this land. It simply continued what human beings have always done here. They moved, because the other side was worth reaching. The Karakoram is not simply a mountain range. It is a geological argument. 4 tectonic plates collide here with a violence that reshapes the earth beneath your feet, without warning, without apology, without pause. The mountain is not hostile here. It is indifferent. And indifference is worse. Construction began in 1959. Pakistan and China. One vision. Connect 2 civilizations across the most hostile terrain on Earth. 24 years. 810 workers. Gone. The mountain did not want this road. It expressed this daily, in landslides that buried entire sections overnight, in glaciers that advanced and crushed months of work in hours, in avalanches that took men and machines and simply erased them. And yet, the engineers came back, the workers came back, the machinery came back. 3 things drove them forward: the mission, the wage, and something older, something that has no name but lives in the chest of every human being who has ever stood at the edge of the impossible and felt not fear, but hunger. In 1979, after 20 years of construction, the Karakoram Highway opened. Kashgar to Attabad, China to Pakistan, over the roof of the world. But the mountain had not finished. In January 2010, a landslide so massive it had no name buried a village called Attabad and kept moving. The debris blocked the Hunza River, and the river had nowhere to go. Over 5 months, a lake formed, 21 kilometers long, deep enough to swallow buildings. 19 kilometers of the Karakoram Highway disappeared beneath the surface. Villages were flooded. 25,000 people were cut off from the world. For 5 years, the only way across was by boat. Not a modern vessel, a small wooden boat, on a lake that should not exist, above a road that was still down there, somewhere in the dark. Pakistan and China carved 5 tunnels through the surrounding mountains to bypass the lake. They finished in 2015. The Karakoram Highway was restored. It is never truly finished. Not here. Teams work year-round to reclaim sections the mountain takes back. Every season, every year. The mountain is still arguing, and the road is still answering. "810 men died. That is not a statistic. That is 810 mornings where a family set a place at the table for a man who did not come home. The Karakoram Highway does not tell us about geopolitics. It does not tell us about trade routes or diplomatic ambition. It tells us what a human being is willing to sacrifice for the idea of connection, for the belief that the other side of the mountain is worth reaching, for the ancient, irrational, magnificent conviction that we are not meant to be separated. Three roads, 3 mountains that refused, 3 groups of human beings who answered with something the mountain could not calculate. The villagers of Guoliang did not build a road. They built a refusal. The people who drove the death road did not gamble with their lives. They lived their lives on the only terms the mountain offered. The workers of the Karakoram did not build a highway. They built a bridge between worlds that had never spoken to each other. Every road that exists today was once a place where someone stood at the edge of the impossible and chose to begin. The mountain is ancient. The human hand is small. But the road endures. The roads in this film were not built by engineers. They were not built by governments or ambition or pride. They were built by people who understood something the modern world has nearly forgotten. That the distance between two human beings is not a problem to be managed. It is a wound to be healed. And every road, every tunnel, every impossible kilometre carved and bled and hammered into rock that refused to yield is an act of love. Not for the road, for the person waiting on the other side. From all of us here at Epic Roma Production, we make these films because we believe the world deserves to know that these places exist. Not the sanitized version, not the comfortable version, the real version. The version that costs something to look at. Thank you for watching. Thank you for sitting with this story long enough to let it matter. We see you. Comfort tells you what you want. The stone tells you what you are.